I think that this current very heated discussion that's going on about Dave Chappelle's comedy special is being created to pit the black gay community against the black community. My name is Samson McCormick. I was one of the first black gay stand-up comedians in the country. I've been doing comedy now for over 20 years, and I started during the end of the Def Jam era. And during that time, the black LGBTQ presence wasn't really heavy in comedy, especially if you were black and LGBT. And I have watched that grow in the comedy community over the years. And it's been a long journey, but I'm happy to represent my community, and I'm happy to be a part of this conversation.
And I want every member of that community to know that I come here tonight in peace. And I hope to negotiate the release of the baby.
No, too late. He done f***ed up. If you listen closely to that clip, he was basically highlighting the differences in how black folks receive justice or not versus how the gay community receives justice. And it's a very valid point. And again, if you look at it as a black gay person, or even a black trans person, but especially a black gay person, you'll understand what the differences are in how we get justice or how we are treated when it comes down to dealing with the different issues that we deal with. That's just real.
This thing I'm describing is a major issue that I have with that community. Gay people are minorities until they need to be white again.
He very explicitly was talking about gay white racism, which is real. And like I said, the fact that as a straight black man, he's aware of the racism that exists in the gay community says a lot about what his intentions were when he was talking about those issues. Here's an example. I used to do comedy shows on a cruise ship, and the cruise ship was primarily gay white men. And they put me up on the top floor where all the rich gay folks were. They had folks who worked for C-SPAN up there and all these big corporations who paid the most money to get on the boat. So they put me on that floor because I was one of the entertainers. As a black person walking down that corridor, they were disgusted. And it wasn't until after I did the shows that they started treating me better. And we used to go have these dinners where the black folks on the boat would find each other. So it'd be like 7 of us. And we would all grab each other and start crying like we was on The Color Purple. And we would have dinner and we would talk about what our experiences were on the boat. And a couple of interracial gay couples would show up, right? And the black partner in that interracial relationship would always talk about how his experience on the boat was different until he started showing up with his white partner. And again, that is what Dave Chappelle was highlighting. In my opinion, the only thing I disagree with is that more gay comedians and queer comedians of color, black gay comedians, don't get the opportunity to get on stage and talk about that ourselves.
I didn't know these dudes, but I know they was gay. If they had a dick in their mouth, they wouldn't look any gayer than they did just sitting there.
Oh my God.
They had 1980s gay face. You know what that is? Remember in the 80s when gay people looked surprised all the time?
You know your uncle who be at the family cookouts and stuff like that loves your gay ass, but he says stuff like that, and you know he'll say stuff like that. It's ignorant, but you know that he loves you, and you know if anybody messes with you, you know he'd beat the hell out of them. But that's the way a lot of straight black men talk and joke, especially in our community. So us in the black gay community who are from around the way, like I'm from southeast of DC, we know this is just how black men talk, and we know most of the time they don't mean any harm by it, but there's also a level of there should just be a level of mutual respect, I think, and that's something that has worked for me, you know. And I think a lot of times, even if you are offended by something like that in our community, if you go and say, hey, uncle or whoever, I didn't like that, and you sit down and explain why, I've seen black men listen. And if anything, I think that this current very heated discussion that's going on about Dave Chappelle's comedy special is being created to pit the black gay community against the black community. And that we don't need that. I think we do need to be having conversations where we explain our differences. And it be okay if that's how you think. Just like gay people get to be complex and trans people get to be complex and have opinions and express outrage about things and concern and misunderstanding, I think that black men, black women, anybody else should get to do that as well. That's a part of the human experience. As far as the way Dave Chappelle does it, it's ignorant, but you go to any black family reunion, you're going to get this.
The whole crowd kind of groaned because it was so mean. Everybody groaned except for Daphne. She kind of laughed, which was weird. And then she didn't even look all the way back. She said, "Sir, I don't have carpets. I have hardwood floors."
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I mean, that's a real life story, and like I said, I should highlight that I did do a show with Daphne in Oakland about a month before she passed, and what he says about her is totally true. And she was definitely a lover of comedy. She also was very sensitive, and she was a good person. And she really loved and appreciated that opportunity that he gave her. And I also have spent a lot of time with Dave Chappelle, and I know that he's not homophobic or transphobic, and he actually off stage is probably, for a celebrity of that stature, one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, and very, very understanding, very open, and I'm pretty sure he would be willing to meet and have a conversation with various members of our community. But you just got to find a way to create that conversation. And this also highlights conversations that we need to continue to be open about having in the black community. Black people should understand that, sure, some of us are gay, some of us are trans, but we are black first, and we are in this community, and we have to deal with the black experience. Then on top of that, try being gay and deal with the black experience. It's hell going in the barbershop sometime for me, but it's a conversation that we need to have. And most of all, I would encourage more of us to embrace humor, the ability to laugh at ourselves. If you look at the climate of our country here in America, we are in a bit of a dark ages, it seems, when it comes to communication. Because when I grew up playing the dozens, or in DC we called it joning. So that means if you came to school and your hair wasn't combed, or you was missing some teeth, or your hair was nappy, or your mama's titties was lopsided, or whatever, the kids at school would make fun out of you, and you had to learn how to verbally defend yourself. And sure, sometimes if somebody was joning on you and they said something that hit a little too close to home, y'all would fight in the classroom or in the playground. But that helped do a lot of things. It helped to build character within oneself, because once you are able to make fun out of your own flaws, that helps you to accept what's different about you. When people tease you about being gay like they did when I was growing up, that taught us how to embrace ourselves. And, we knew what we had to deal with in our community, and not saying anything about it doesn't change the fact that we have differences in our community. We just need to be open to embracing those differences and realize that no matter what, it's all respect. And if you are willing to meet people where they are, we can achieve a lot more than being angry at somebody because they have an opinion. And and just stop tripping and learn how to laugh at yourself. Life is too short to be tripping. Laugh.